Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. It's Mike Brown here with RE/MAX in Toronto. Missed it by that much. What am I talking about? Well, if you tuned in to the last installment, I was indicating that it was a pretty slow couple of weeks for news related to real estate and interest rates. However, thanks to my buddy Mark, he pointed out there was a pretty interesting article written in the Toronto Star. Some of you may have seen it. And what it says is, it is good while it lasted. An exodus of 45,000 Ontario real estate agents and brokers has hit the industry since the slowdown. But some say Toronto still has too many agents. Since 2021, there's been a huge run-up of new agents entering the market. And we all know kind of why that's happened. Primarily low interest rates, the pandemic, basically free money. A couple of weeks ago, we talked about that property in Mississauga that got 85 offers. That's a pretty clear example of what she happens to be mentioning in the article here. Continuing on, yes, the interest rates started to go up significantly over the last couple of years, and that has definitely sort of tamped down the activity. We all know that the Toronto Real Estate Board recorded its lowest sales volume in, 23 years, I think it was. So it was a pretty slow year as the market adjusted to this sensitive interest rate environment. At the peak, when things were rolling around and money were rolling along and money was basically free, the real estate industry in the country generated peak revenue of $26.7 billion. That's not volume of real estate sales. That's the commission and all of the fees that were generated by real estate agents and brokers throughout the country. $26.7 billion. That number has apparently fallen in Ontario by 25.9%. Makes sense. It was a tough year last year, I'm going to admit that. But what's more interesting is that of the $26.7 billion, the real estate industry in Ontario represents 55% of that. That's right, 55%. There's a lot of people working in this industry. The Toronto Regional Real Estate Board has approximately 73,000 licensed realtors and brokers. It also indicates that Toronto has the highest density of real estate agents and brokers of any city in the world. That number, apparently in Ontario, peaked at 190,000 and has since dropped to 145,700 in 2023. Well, I don't truly believe that most of those people who left this profession were actually agents and brokers. You see, just like a cruise ship, kind of, you might have 3,000 passengers on board. Well, you probably have a complement or a crew complement of at least 1,000 people to service those 3,000 guests. Not quite direct comparison, but it's similar. There's a lot of support staff that are required to work in real estate to allow agents and brokers to do their job. Administrative staff, marketing, mortgage brokers. This article doesn't really break down the exact number of working sales representatives and brokers who have left. It's talking about the industry as a whole. So I would hazard a guess that of the 45,000 people they're indicating have left here in Ontario, maybe less than half of those are actually people who were selling real estate. So maybe the number in Ontario is down by 20,000. And if you come into Toronto, I bet you that number is probably closer to maybe 10,000 down. So we probably still have the highest percentage of realtors per capita in the world. Interesting fact. It goes on to say that the Ontario economy is very sensitive to the fact that there are so many people who are employed as real estate professionals here. And that the unemployment rate is actually higher in Ontario than it is across the entire country, simply because of the number of people who make a living working in a real estate related career. So it's having a bigger effect on the unemployment rate here in the province. And again, that's not much of a surprise. So in summary, this article points to the fact that there's just too many people working in the real estate industry here in the province of Ontario and probably across the country. And that it's most likely that the buyers were being done the most disservice. And that's probably true. However, just recently, I brought a property to the market a week ago. It was priced for a multiple offer scenario. And again, folks, I'm going to reiterate, it's not a bidding war. There's information out there that can help guide you if you're a buyer as to where the likely value of this property is. It's not like trying to launch the space shuttle. There are recent sales that I use to guide my client in what their expectations might be for a sale price. And it's the same information that an appraiser is going to be using when they work on behalf of a bank to evaluate the property for the mortgage. We were priced for multiple offers. We got 13. Most of the offers were situated in and around the value range that we believe the property would sell for, but there was one offer that was way above the others. And obviously that piqued my client's interest. The only problem was they didn't have proof of deposit.
Show me the money!
The agent didn't have the time or the foresight to realize if they were going to compete for a property, they should probably have evidence of the bank draft that was going to be accompanying that offer. The second place offer did. So at the risk of losing that second place offer, what I guided my clients to do was ask everybody to reconvene the following day, extend the validity dates of their offer, and some might not have and some didn't. Fortunately, the second place offer did. And the first place offer actually did come back the next day with a bank draft, pretty substantial one, proving that they had the money to form the deposit for that purchase. However, the price was no longer where it was the night before. Now it had fallen below the second place offer. So, to summarize, good thing my client didn't accept the offer the night before, because it's quite likely they never would have showed up with the check. And an experienced agent is going to be paying attention to the market dynamics and the recent sales. And at the end of the day, that's the evidence, that's the proof to justify the price. It doesn't have to be a war. You just have to have an experienced representative acting on your behalf to help guide you through the process. And that's really what this article was driving at. Anyhow, without further ado, let's get a look at that inventory story. As you can see, folks, the numbers are starting to increase a little bit. What are we going to see after the March break? It's anybody's guess, but I'm really interested to see what those numbers look like. But until the next episode, this is Mike Brown with RE/MAX, uncovering the real estate of real estate here in the GTA and Southwestern Ontario.